Yeah, she
likes to come up straight away then, mate.
That's right, mate. She definitely really likes defending. Like, I thought she'd be like because I used to like play at friends, like get him goal, like come on, let's go.
Yeah,
she'd just be stood like,
glory
oh my God, get forward, but she'd just stay at the back, like. And then as soon as they start like attacking, like she's always switches on, and then she just runs out to them and like kicks the ball, like gets right in their face. Like honestly, she's so aggressive.
Oh, fantastic!
Tight, like but they're building a nice little cool few players now. Like some of the girls that are really like.
Is it a Hucklecote club? Is it?
Barnwood.
Okay.
They train at the Cooper's Edge Sports Hub.
Right.
Do you know where the skate park is and over Lobley's Drive?
Yes. Yeah.
Right in the back of there, go right round, and there's some 5-side pitches and some like grass, like sort of football there.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's like 3 months she's been going.
Fantastic.
But, she was a real nervous at first. Like,
Yeah.
Like, all the girls you see them like that, like all like boiled in, but now like.
I bet they're there's no stopping them now, is there?
Oh, let's have a biggie. So what you've been doing this week?
This week, mate, I do lots of little things now, like part-time jobs, mostly around sort of caretakering, but it's all ultimately to be able to give me the time to focus on this. So
yeah, well, it's getting bigger
just
and bigger now, isn't it?
Just going through the motions, mate, and ticking along nicely. I enjoy what I do as well now, which is the main thing. The plan was to try and keep the stress off my work life, so I could sort of, as I say, focus on what's going on with this, because this is growing now. We've got 3 groups, so yeah, it requires a bit more oversight. And
who's running the Cheltenham group now?
James Gorton.
Yeah.
Yeah, doing a really good job, and Justin over in Ewan. You know, they're all going great guns. So yeah, Justin's quite comfortably into double figures.
Wow, that's great. Because I
10,
remember at
11.
the start it was like real slow, wasn't it? It was like there was only a couple of people.
Yeah, and I thought it might be over that way because of obviously where it sits, sort of more outside of Gloucester. It's quite rural, isn't it? Out in Ewan Way, even though there's a lot of development going on over there. But yeah, he's doing a brilliant job. So
that's good.
So yeah, it's fantastic, mate.
What about the church name ones? That
it's actually been a little bit smaller. The last after Christmas, it sort of ebbs and flows a little bit more. Sometimes we'll have 6 to 8, but sometimes we'll have 15. 16. So
I've been there a couple of times and it's been like there's been low.
Yeah. So we've got it's nice with Church Down that we can break out into another room if it is too big. Because I don't know if you came to that one particular session where we were sat around till like 10 o'clock at night, and it gets a little bit.
Yeah, I think that one. I think the last time I came there was about 12. I think that's just and. Like I think you were saying, normally we would sort of split off, but it went on late. Remember that one lad, he was late for his train. Or
sometimes, yeah, like say, and it just depends on the person's sort of situations. It's not a problem, but if you get into a certain flow with it, it's almost a shame to break it up.
Yeah, I think that's what it was.
Half an hour, 40 minutes into a session. So
quite well. I suppose you've got to. You're just out when you're just like the facilitator there, you're like, right, okay, this is actually, everyone seems to be on point at this point.
Yeah, and that's the point of the facilitator, is to not so much control things, but just more make sure that it flows nicely.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's working really well at the moment. Touch wood.
Touch wood, quick touch wood.
So
that's the word. Touch wood, he said word. If you think about when you first started, like, so when did you first start? Like, when did you form Man Up?
So Man Up was formed in January of 2020 at the GL3 Hub. I took the idea to Mike. Mike Holder is the manager of the GL3 Hub.
Okay.
And set forward a proposal for a support group for men within that environment.
Yeah.
It seemed like the ideal place to start it. Churchdown sits as a bit of a perfect halfway house between Cheltenham and Gloucester.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
So I thought that would be a nice sort of place to start it off. And on obviously that main route that runs through Churchdown, it's accessible. It ticked a lot of boxes. So yeah, and Mike was on board straight away, which was brilliant.
Yeah.
So
always a bonus.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, tell me what you're going to be doing here.
Yeah, I didn't have to come forward with any big proposals or PowerPoint presentations or nothing too complex. It was just a nice little chat.
Can I have the room? Yeah, go on.
Yeah, that's it. Absolutely. So
did you have sort of a few people already, like you knew, like then I'll come along, and then you had like 10 people to start with, or did you just go in cold and then like sort of advertise and then people?
It was all through Facebook initially. So the guys that did attend on the first night, none of them I actually knew. One of them lived quite close to me, but I still didn't know he was going to come along. So yeah, it was all quite cold going in at the start, which is nerve-wracking. So yeah, that you never know if these things are going to flop or
scary.
Yeah, it was.
You were taking some, just sitting, facilitating that and sitting in and.
Yeah, that's it. Because I didn't come from. I haven't come from any forms of like qualification or necessarily knowing what I was doing, but when I was starting this up, I was aware of a national program called Andy's Man Club, or a national charity, which ran a very similar concept of just getting guys together and having a chat. So the closest at the time when I was setting up these groups to Gloucester or Cheltenham was over at Porthcawl in Wales.
Oh, there you are.
So yeah, not necessarily accessible. And it just it ticked a lot of boxes locally. Gloucestershire at the time had a higher than national average rate of male suicide, and not that sort of service. So I thought I'd take a bit of a shot with it. And
mate, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's reaped its in terms of people accessing the service, it's been brilliant. So reaped its rewards is probably the wrong way of putting it.
No, I know what you mean. It's you started it and it's
proven to be a success. Yeah.
That's great. Do you know what? You just touching on that when you said about the Gloucester, like having one of the highest rates. When I first introduced myself to you and I started looking into it, and that blew my mind. It was an actual stat. Like I think it was in the top 5 cities somewhere in the country per sort of average person that lives in town, and I thought, God, this is my town. But then it started opening up that old can of worms. It's like when I'm talking to people, they're like, my brother done it, or my uncle done it, my dad done it, and I was like, and it was so easy. Like people were talking.
Yeah.
Oh mate, honestly, it just broke my heart. Just like get off the phone, and you just feel real like.
You don't have to scratch much below the surface, do you?
No.
To realise how much actually it impacts people. So it
was tough, but I mean, so all that then. So you thought, right, there's that facility. You got going. You got the room. How do you feel you've grown from that first session to what you're doing now?
That's a good question. It's.
Oh, I got you thinking now.
Yeah, you have. How have I grown? I think it's made me realise, obviously there's an importance to opening up, talking. I think the idea I might have had around mental health was, before starting this up, was you need counselling, you need therapy, you need professional intervention, you need to have lots of money to be able to access these services. So I'd say it's made me realise that with some of the sort of testimonials that we'll touch on in a minute that we've heard from people, you just need to have that initial space a lot of the time.
Do you think that's quite a common misconception, or where people they think, oh, you need all these things to get out?
I think it can be pushed down your throat through advertising and whatnot, that it requires financial input,
Yeah.
or maybe a hefty financial input to access services such as that.
Yeah.
And as I say, I'm not a qualified counsellor or psychotherapist at all, but I think just to have a grassroots level of care certainly has its place as well.
Yeah, I
so
agree.
it's not to discard these elements.
Agree.
Ultimately, it's whatever works for the individual, isn't it? That's our groups aren't a one size fits all. Not everybody that comes through the door is going to sort of stick with the service or necessarily benefit from it. But there are a lot over the years who I've seen who have, and are now either going on to live a more sort of hopefully peaceful existence, should we say, or are continuing with our service and have done for quite a number of years now, which is nice.
It's that camaraderie, sort of that.
Yeah.
Like group mentality. You think, oh God, everyone else is struggling too. Like maybe I'm not. I don't know. Maybe I'm not weird. Maybe I'm not, like everyone starts having these things when they hear other people talk. It's not humbling, but you kind of connect because they're real people.
It does give you a sense of perspective because it's so easy to get trapped in your own thoughts and your own mind, and I've been there. And suddenly when you start listening to other people's stories, and that was when I was struggling myself. I remember sitting in a church and listening to a lady who was talking about a child who had a terminal illness, and it was a bit of one of those sort of light bulb moments where you think, actually, I might have a lot going on, but so have other people. So yeah, that's always stuck with me as that moment of realization. That it's so easy to become sort of insular and trapped in your own world and your own thoughts and your own emotions. But yeah, exposing yourself to others is I've found to be beneficial, and I know others have benefited from it through the groups. So yeah, there's a lot of plus sides to it.
Do you know, it's funny to say that, like, if you think men of a certain age, always been told, suck it up, get on with it, boys don't cry, all that sort of drummed in, you know what I mean? Like, over the years, it's just been drummed into boys, like, oh, get up, get on with it, you don't cry, you deal with your emotions. And I think one thing I've noticed in the last, say, 5 years, maybe longer, and you see it all on social media, it's like, oh, it's okay to talk, like, but there's one group I follow, boys get sad too, I don't know if you've seen it, like, it is perfect, I think men and, boys, all males, and obviously females as well, but I think they're finding it a lot easier to talk now, as in to talk to a mate, excuse me, like, what it's like when you open up a little bit and everyone starts giving you a bit of banter and then you're like, oh, like you resign time, but sometimes just having that little one-on-one, and that's what I found when I come to your group, and like I saw everyone just it's a wide age group there.
There is there's a vast demographic, and I don't think it necessarily matters how much a person earns, what age they are. If this thing that we call mental health can creep up on anybody, can't they, at any stage of life? So So to have a network of like-minded individuals is a real positive, and we've seen the benefits from that over time.
Do you ever feel like, because I read something a while ago and it always stuck with me, it was about like depression, and it basically, it's obviously long-winded, it's basically saying you never get over, you never beat depression, you just learn how to deal with it better. And it really stuck with me, as if, because if you I don't know, you have cancer, and you have treatment for the cancer, and you beat cancer, right? But there's always that risk that it comes back, because it's you're sort of that prone. In the same way with mental health, you can have really good days, and it just takes one little thing, and you just crumble. So and it's one of the things. What's the the cognitive behaviour like for the NHS, is it the CTC?
CBT.
CBT, yeah. And I done it years ago, and there was one thing on there. This lady, I forget her name. There's one thing she done which really drove home the message. She had this glass of water. You probably heard of this before, and she held it out, and then she was talking the whole time, and then basically the message was the longer you hold on to the problem, like longer it hurts. And then what she'd done is she got another person to come out and she poured some of the water into their cup, lighten the load by sharing.
Yeah.
And that really eureka moment in my head. I was like, oh, do you know what? It's about talking and just even if it's a little bit, and then you build up that confidence to be able to share. And I think that's what a lot of men struggle with, is that foot through the door moment. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and it is that is a massive one. And I found it difficult, even though I was going to be the one that was setting up and running this church down group. That initial sort of, what's everyone going to think of me? You know.
Yeah.
Everything's screaming at you not to, but if you can overcome that, then it's the start in writing yourself a new story. And I'm a big believer that nowadays that perception is sort of everything, and how you perceive yourself. And if you can build together a network of, I call them tools, and I would operate more within a sort of holistic framework. But even if that's, you're taking your antidepressants, you've got our support groups, for example, something that the NHS might provide. If you've got a network of tools that you can fall back on to help you spring back, difficult days, tribulation, tough times, they're going to come at you no matter what. If you've got things that work for you, then at least the tough days hopefully won't be as prolonged. Because I found with myself, when I left the army, I probably went through a period that lasted about, I'd say, 8 to 10 years of being at a really low ebb for quite a long time. Was never diagnosed with depression or anything along those lines, but it must have been, undoubtedly. And trying to pull myself up and out of that scenario without these sort of systems or this awareness or understanding was really quite challenging. But it wasn't until I sort of, as I said earlier, started to listen to other people's stories, realise other people had other things going on that were awful, that I started to realise actually that was the catalyst for change, for a more positive change. And that actually I could make a role for myself in service again, because I think I've always been drawn to that, even from a young age. That's what led me to join the army at 16, was this sense of serving others. And Man-Up's given me an opportunity to sort of carry that on. You know, I don't make anything from it in a monetary sense, but what I get from it in the sort of sense of self, if that's the right way of putting it, is something you can't really put money on.
I know what you mean, and I know what you want to say, but this is another thing as well. Like, I don't know if it's just a British thing or a men thing.
Stiff upper lips and all that sort
of thing. Like, you know, you're doing great work. We don't like applauding ourselves. You know, we don't like putting a little pat on the back, like, oh, I've done well today. You know, it's like, oh, you know, I do what I do, and then if someone says, mate, you're doing really well,
makes you a bit uncomfortable.
Yeah, it makes you feel uncomfortable, because you're doing it for, you're doing it for the right reasons, but people can look in and they go, oh, he's trying to save the world, like, or do you know what I mean? And it's not that at all. But then when someone gives you a compliment, it makes you feel, why? Do you know, it's weird, isn't it? Why you can't just go, oh, thank you. Like, no, I deserve this praise. Like, I'm working hard for this. It's a weird one.
It is, and that's one I've had to get used to over time. I'm still not necessarily comfortable with that outpouring of praise and all the rest of it, even from people who do benefit from the service. But I think I saw it more through the lens that there was a service that needed to be provided.
Yeah.
And that service wasn't there at the time. So, yeah.
And now look at it, you've got the Gloucester branch,
Yeah.
you've got the Newark branch, got the Cheltenham branch.
That's it. Yeah, it's a growing network, absolutely, and it's my intent for as we move forward to have coverage throughout the county. So I'd love to see a group in Cirencester or Stroud, for example. So, but it just requires the right space.
Yeah.
Someone prepared to facilitate, because it's a massive demand as well on an individual to facilitate and to come in, week out, listen to what at times can be awful stories, and how do we manage that within safeguarding. What sort of safeguarding issues does that present? So yeah, it's a steep learning curve, but yeah, ultimately that's my goal, is to have free, accessible.
Get one going in Cirencester, that's sort of like
Yeah, absolutely.
You never know, this time next year.
Well, no, this is
This time next year, Rodney.
Yeah, exactly. So, and that's where Justin and James have been brilliant. They've come to, as you know, the Churchdown group. They've wanted to take it into their communities, and it's borne fruit for that exact reason. So,
how do you find it, like, sort of facilities to, like, as in like halls and stuff like that? How would someone go about doing that if they wanted? If someone's watching this now and they're like, do you know, I live in the Cirencester area and I want to start a group up. So how would they go about that?
So we've sort of seen the most success from networking with like community halls, things like that.
Okay.
Somewhere that's got a decent sized hall, maybe a canteen area or something along those lines, or just somewhere where you can have kettle and knock up a easy tea or coffee. Churchdown, we're very lucky because, as I said earlier, we can break out into these other rooms. Cheltenham at the moment doesn't have that facility, and neither does Newark, actually, the community fire station that I'm aware of. So yeah, it's, in terms of growth, Churchdown is ideal. But yeah, it's more networking with these smaller community spaces that don't cost the earth to hire them.
Yeah.
And we started from the ground up there, really. We'll do a viability, make sure it can hold into low double digits, 10 to 15 or so. And that's a good starting point.
Give it the old seal of approval.
Yeah, absolutely. So
I'm just doing it.
Yeah, exactly. Another big one for me is where it sits, like say with Churchdown, that a lot of people are aware that particular service is there, or that building is there, that community space is there. So yeah, it's not thoroughly in depth, but
slowly building, mate. In the last 5 years, like, you know, considering it was just you in a room and now you've got three groups going.
Yeah,
so
that's it.
You must feel proud of that.
Very much so, mate. Yeah, it's gone from more than one man just going along with tea and biscuits on a weekly basis. Obviously, we've got the funding now that's coming in from the golf day, and that's fantastic, and that supports us in the ways that we want to grow.
Yeah,
which is wonderful, mate. So
mate, honestly, that first year, I think, obviously, that first year was the money largely went to them, to the little daughter, and then sort of obviously donated some to you, and then the following year when we got we realised, what, you know what, we didn't want to cheapen what we did on that first year. So it was like, okay, let's get another charity involved. Got all the sunflowers, and it's like, look, I don't think they quite understood what I meant at first, because I was like, I'm going to do this, and they're like, yeah, just like let us know, and then we'll take your money, sort of thing. And then I was sending them information. They're like, oh, like, this sounds like this is going to be like quite a big event.
Yeah.
And then when we raised £2,500 for them, and then obviously £2,500 for you, they were like, whoa. Like,
yeah, I was shocked when you said that.
Yeah, so. It was a lot. It went down, the day went really well. Obviously we've got this year's coming up in July. People have started sending inquiries for, what's going on, mate, when's it happening? And I'm like, it's all on Facebook. It's all on there, mate. Like
That's
it's
it,
all
yeah,
on there. Have a
exactly.
look. But I'm hoping this year to get a few more sort of bigger companies involved, sponsoring holes, because we rely on people to sponsor holes, donate money, prizes, the raffle, the auction at the end is always fun because they're all a bit tanked up by that point. And it's like, right, who wants this 4-ball? And they're like, hey, I want it. And it's just like, they're just firing at. I'm like, it's great. Honestly, it's such a great event.
It is, yeah.
It really is.
I thoroughly enjoyed it when I know I come along more at the end when you're doing the raffles, just to sort of meet and introduce myself to people. But yeah, it's a really well attended event.
Quite a few people took some flyers, didn't they?
Yeah.
It's not like there's a maddest thing after, because like talking to like going round tables and saying thanks to everyone for coming, talking to some of the people, and they were like, oh mate, such a great cause. You'd be surprised, like we've touched on, you'd be surprised how many people will open up and support the idea of what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
It is difficult because I know everyone's busy lives, so they probably had enough of me. I'm constantly pestering, like come on, you come in or what? Give me your money, but they know why. Like it's it's going to a great cause, and if it's helping and it's helping the Man Up charity, I think we'll be together forever, mate. To be honest.
Yeah, no, very much so, mate. And
you'll be coming to my wedding.
And one of the things we've been able to do recently with funding that does come in is take on an administrator, because I was getting flooded with emails and requests, and it was just becoming a bit too, even with sort of scaling down what I've done in terms of work nowadays, those inquiries and stuff was just becoming a bit overbearing. So we've taken on an administrator.
That's brilliant.
Who can run a filter through, ask myself. So I'll be catching up with them next week, which it's really, really good. Who is it? Gloucestershire College have asked us to come in and do a presentation.
Wow.
So yeah,
that's brilliant.
I'll be getting that PowerPoint presentation.
I can see you at the front.
Yeah. Well, I did go to another college about a year, 18 months ago, and I did that sort of stand up, have your notes, but it just didn't feel right. It didn't feel too professional. So
mate, don't try and over professionalize it. Like you're working, you're doing well because of your nature.
Yeah.
If people look to you as a suit, they might not be as receptive.
No.
In fact, they look at you and they go, that's a normal guy. And hence why I want you to do this channel. Because I just want to talk to normal people. I'm not interested in people who've got agendas and all this. It's just people talking. Normal people like me and you. And that's why you're working so well. Yeah. So just be yourself.
No, that's it, mate. Yeah, absolutely.
And you'll do amazing.
So I'll still knock up the PowerPoint presentation.
You've got inclusive games in there as well, man. Chuck some games in there. Apparently they love it.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah. I've done a level. I've done it. Level 3 teaching award for my job. Yeah. And I also micro teach. So that's almost like a little presentation, like a 20-minute presentation. Yeah. And I had to include games and stuff like that too, so you make like an inclusive classroom. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So like everyone has, because not everyone will want to talk.
More interactive.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? You've got to like cater for all different needs. But I enjoyed it. It was like.
Yeah. Fantastic.
I'm not used to.
And you're still enjoying what you do now?
Yeah. It's going well. It's a big change, obviously, from coming off the tools. I do miss it. Yeah, the tools. Yeah, I miss the the banner, like being on site. Yeah. And being outside all day. I know it sounds weird. It's freezing cold, but like I'm sort of stuck inside now, so I don't really get much sun unless like I'm in the office and like looking at. Do you know what I mean? So like, I don't know. I probably feel more tired now than I was when I was on the roofs, but because it's not as obviously intense. Loading tiles on the roof takes its toll, but yeah, it's going well, mate. Plenty Plenty of time yet. I've got another 20 years left in me before I retire.
This is it, mate. Yeah, exactly.
So is that going to be your sort of plan then? Like, is this something that you really want to sort of like take full time? And you like, is this something that
My wife keeps saying I should do it full time.
Yeah.
Which must be high praise because as I
she just
started
wants
to
you out of
sort
the
of,
house, Dan?
as I was as I was coming out from this, what I would call a low ebb, and I was starting to get all these ideas of things that I think she thought I'd probably gone a little bit nuts, but this one with Man Up has stuck, and now she sees the success in it. She wants a hoodie, and yeah, she's encouraging me to take it on as a full-time venture. So yeah, it's nice, and that's something I've started to sort of express to my groups, that there were a lot of unknowns. Leaving, the nice comfortable job, you can have a couple of holidays a year and all the rest of it. Bills are paid, etc. So I was leaving that without a pension or anything along those lines to pretty much nothing. To do this, but as I say, perception, as I now believe, is everything, and the unknown, although it can be sort of a bit of a scary dark cloud where you can't see the future, but that presents its own opportunities as well, and now we're seeing the sort of results of that. So who knows where it will lead, mate, but at its core, it's always going to be free, confidential spaces for men to come and offload.
I was going to say, like, how's your family sort of took to what you do? Like obviously, cause you can only do it if you've got the support of people around you. To be able to express yourself and have that knowledge that someone's got your back. So,
very supportive. Like I say, I think she might have thought I was losing my marbles a little bit at the start, but as Mark Twain said, everybody with a new idea is a crank until the idea succeeds.
Exactly.
So
I like that. I steal that.
Yeah. Feel free.
But I'm not going to say Mark Twain said it. I'm going to say I said it. Hopefully people won't know.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, Mark Twain said that.
That's it. So but no, I think as they've seen that growth and that development in it, they see the worth that it brings to others as well, which is lovely. So very on side, which is nice.
Oh, that's good. That's brilliant. I even with this as well, like my missus, same thing. So I think you'd be good to do it, because I was debating, because I've been walking up and down the hill filming content to get that first video out.
Yeah,
and I was
I did see your first one.
I was all over the shot. That was about
really well struck.
That was about the 20th time that video. So I've been up and down, and I had these. Oh no, don't. And I said it to my mates. Oh, what do you think of this? He's like, oh, be a little bit more light-hearted, be a little bit more engaging, tell them, like, and you can build your story, and people.
That's another thing with it, though, isn't it? You can scrutinise these things until the cows come home.
Yeah, just
and
do
then
it.
A year down the line, you've achieved nothing apart from just waiting for the right, and when is the right moment for a lot of things.
Exactly.
Take that initial step, and then learn as you go. And that's where the fun comes from. Is through the learning.
Yeah.
It's not the end product so much. It's that growth throughout the process.
Mate, honestly, your story, that's perfect inspiration. Like you said, you just started, and now look where you are. Like if you don't just start anything.
Yeah.
We get in our own minds, don't we? We just like, oh, I'm not good enough for that. No one's gonna watch my videos. So what? No one watches this. No one watches it.
The right people will come along.
The right people will come along. I can't. This is what I want. I don't want people. This isn't something that you're going to sit and like watch non-stop. I think these sort of videos would be sort of background. People are going to have it on in the background whilst they're working away and just listening to two people talking.
Yeah.
And then if it triggers something in their mind where they want to, either seek help or talk, or even if you get one person, you've done your job, haven't you?
This is it, absolutely. That's the same context that we built Man Up Gloucestershire on.
What we on?
So,
half an hour. By all means, Dan. I'm happy with half an hour of touching time. Is there anything you want to touch on today?
Just that we have our all of our sort of communications are predominantly done through Facebook. We've got a website, manupgloss.org.uk.
Yeah.
If people want to sort of reach out and send a message to us through that system. And as you've said, we're located in Churchtown. is the group that I'll facilitate. Newent, over at the community fire station, is where Justin oversees, and Cheltenham in Prestbury for James.
And that's all on the website, all the
yes, yeah,
all the portals, not the portals.
I believe so. I think we might have to update and put Cheltenham on there. But yeah, we've got flyers for them, and people can reach out and send us messages. Yeah, that's it.
This is going to be viral overnight. It's going to be like 100,000 people. We might have to add more facilities.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. That's what I'm always saying. But no, right. Before we go then, so appreciate you coming.
That's a pleasure, mate. It really is.
Opening up again is it's always a case of how much you want to give. You know, there's no pressure here. You've really, put some good valid points out there. And again, for me, it's a journey for me as well. Just taking this first step, and hopefully I'll learn from it. And then, they can't really tell on video, but we're in my office now, this little tiny little office, and it's like, I think it's a good little spot.
One thing I didn't touch on was that testimonial, wasn't it?
Yes, do apologise. Yes, by all means. So Dan was going to read out a couple of testimonials from people he's had from his groups, just so you get an idea of how impactful they are. Please, when you're ready.
So I won't give names or anything like this, but this came from a gentleman who comes to one of our groups. So he says, I knew about Man Up for a little while, but was so sceptical about how a group of blokes chatting could help me when I was so lost and already under the care of the NHS. Man Up has, and I don't say this lightly, changed my life. I have found compassion, understanding, perspective. I was welcomed, there was no judgment, and I found people with a vast wealth of life experiences to offer advice and challenge me. This is now a group of people I feel I'm becoming friends with. I would encourage anyone to walk through the door and try it.
That's brilliant.
So that's the bread and butter of what we want to achieve from these groups. So
just the people, like the fact that you get people through the door and that they can express themselves so easily. I mean, I've been a couple of times, and obviously there's some familiar faces. Yeah. Has it been interesting for you as well to see their journeys?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
and when they first come through the door.
Yeah, very much so, and that's what makes it all worthwhile ultimately. Which is why, as I said earlier, I'm probably a little bit reserved when it comes to taking on the praise, because actually people are bringing about the change themselves.
Yeah. Without
necessarily realising it. They're all making these positive, impactful changes.
Yeah.
Through their own doing. So yeah, but that's what makes this whole venture ultimately worthwhile, isn't it? And as you're seeing, as people start to sort of change for the positive, then that's the best part about it.
Well, one of the things on there you said about the friends, that's got to be another good thing, like these people, they're building friendships here also. It's not just coming in and just talking, they're building bonds.
Someone that you bump into in the street, couldn't it? Yeah. Ultimately. So which is a big part of it. It's not to up itself. Well, it's not up itself as a service or out of reach. It's just the regular man coming in and
there you go. Regular man coming in. I love it. Dan, thank you.
My pleasure, mate.
Before you go, so question for the next person that comes on the show.
Yeah.
This is the good bit.
Is it within the remit of like mental health? Or...
So whatever you want. Just don't make it what's your favourite colour. Right?
So how would you define success in this day and age?
Oh, how would you define success in this day and age? Okay, that's going to be the first question. Well, thank you all for watching. This is Healthy Men Talk. I've been Shane Mitchell. This is Dan Cox. All the best.
There we go, mate.
Smash it, do we?